I haven't quite got the last word because the last word is going to be a blessing. But before the blessing, I'd just like to say a few things, a few thank yous, and also just to remind you about what we've been through and maybe what might come next. But before I do that, I would just like to apologise for the people of Oakland, and not just the people of Oakland who felt excluded from this event. The fault was ours for not being sensitive enough right at the beginning. We tried to recover, but that's not the point. The point is we got it wrong and we want to do better next time with your help. And if you would convey my apologies to anybody who felt excluded and who felt angry, I completely understand why, and I'm really, really sorry. And there was somebody I was at dinner with the other night who said that they felt funny about being a white man, especially of a certain age. And I sort of feel that sometimes these days. It's strange. It's to Ken's point, really. And unless we deal with this, it's not going to go away. So anyway, I want to just very quickly review. This is obviously not an inclusive review because it's my personal perspective, what's happened over the last couple of days. And to remind you that we heard from Jonathan and Tyler yesterday morning about why we need to change, and that was really shocking, and how true cost accounting, or however you want to describe it, could be, and in my view, is one of the major ways in which we could speed up the transformation that is needed. It was very interesting to hear the comments from the food business leaders. I felt that they perhaps they needed to sort of stretch out and realize that they could show new leadership now because the world is so rapidly changing, the external conditions, particularly because of millennials. And the 8 parallel sessions, I only went to one of them. I just want to remind you, they were all filmed. And I think many of them, maybe even most of them, were pretty inspirational. Certainly the one I went to, which Nicolette moderated on the fat of the land, was shocking and inspiring and thought-provoking and everything, really. And I'm sure that many of the others were too. And we're going to not only post them on the website, but try to edit them down so we can have a legacy of the conference in terms of the material. And just on that point, Nadia, who's still here, I think, said to me from the FAO, she said, we should really edit all this stuff together and make some sort of publication. So I said, well, yeah, it's a good idea, but who's going to do it? And she said, well, I'll volunteer if there are some others to help me. So we with help, maybe we'll try and do that because it seems to me such a powerful thing to do. This morning, and then we had the bar. Not all of you were there, but it was extraordinary and lovely. And the cultural element to me it's more than cultural. That element of our being together was, for me, really important. This morning, I felt that what we had in the session with Harpender Sandhu and the 3 courageous farmers who were prepared to allow their own farms to be assessed, not knowing what the results would be, was extraordinary, and I feel symbolizes the beginning of a new chapter of our work in enabling us to understand the scale, the nature, and hopefully monetize value where appropriate of all the externalities, both positive and negative, arising from different farming and food systems to get at a more honest price, and then use the mechanisms which were explored in the Mechanisms for Change session and more that will evolve through our creative thinking to make sure that the economic environment in which we all operate makes sustainably produced food more profitable for farmers and more affordable for all of us who buy it. And that's not going to be easy, as Alexander said, it's a lot more difficult than the energy change plan, but it's doable because something's changed and we're just in a different situation now. And more parallel sessions, again, very inspirational. I went to the Future of Food one, which I felt epitomized what I hope was the new atmosphere, which is inclusive. Not everybody agreed with all the perspectives of the food companies that are emerging, but they were courageous too, because they said, okay, let's listen to criticism and adapt. And I think that was great and really good. And now this session. What do I feel are some of the key things that touched me that emerged from this event? I think the idea that the people who are educating our children can come together under what Laurie said might be a campaign slogan of get the soda tax to improve, to make school meals real and maybe free. Alice signed up to that, Kimball Musk signed up to that. lorries. I mean, everybody seemed to be wanting to get to the higher place where we can cooperate together, even though there are many diverse, healthily diverse educational initiatives going on. I thought that was great. And Walter Robb, I thought, brought up something. He was under a little bit of pressure, but he said we need to be more transparent. And I think if retailers and food companies were more transparent about the way they price their food, and this must include the social justice dimension and workers' wages. So if the whole thing was transparent, just the transparency would be a force for change. So I think we should call Walter on that and say, show some leadership, because many other food companies would follow you if you do that, and we should support that kind of thing. I think some of the things that Dan Imhoff raised, I thought that was very powerful when he talked about the conditionality, that tax dollars should not go to food producers unless they're delivering environmental and health and social justice benefits, period. There should not be any more. And I know that the amount of tax dollars that are raised in the US that go to food producers is quite a lot smaller, I think, than the EU, the Common Agricultural Policy, because as a farmer I got a check for about £15,000 to £20,000 this year just for not breaking the law, really, and not necessarily doing anything good. And if all future public purse support for food producers was conditional on delivering benefits, that would really change things. And then I just want to mention health, because surely that is the biggest externality of all, you know, and what I thought we learned more about health in some ways than anything else at this conference, because the scale of the negative externalities arising from the impact of our current food systems on public health, as we just heard from Peter in his back of an envelope summary, are enormous, and we don't even know the half of them yet. So if we knew more about that, and we could find creative ways of making sure that those who cause the damage get charged for doing so, and those who don't cause it actually, you know, as Lady Balfour, the founder of the Soil Association, said, instead of treating the symptoms of disease, we should be investigating and rewarding the causes of health. And that should be the new agenda for food producers. I also think that, I raised this in the Future of Food panel, the role of fats and saturated fats and animal fats and plant fats. This is a pretty interesting debate, which is just opening up now, and who knows where that's going to end. And then, of course, the communications agenda, which was touched on many, many times, and in the end probably will be the key factor upon which the speed at which we move forward will depend, because we have to make these ideas accessible to ordinary people like us. And if we only use jargon and language that can only be understood by scientists who probably don't understand it themselves, we won't go far enough, fast enough. So what I would like to say about the SFT is that I mentioned the publication. We'll do what we can to support that. We also would be willing and, you know, really keen to collaborate with anybody else, any other organizations who want to work with us in any way in the future, because that's what we're about. And also, if it's wished, we could think about another smaller meeting maybe in a year or so, but another bigger meeting in 24 months. And those are just putting it out there really for further discussion. So I just want to end now on saying a few thank yous. And I know when I say this, I won't mention everyone, partly out of forgetfulness and partly because there are too many people to thank. So if by any chance I exclude you, I apologize. And you should feel thanked all the more for me, for the omission. I want to thank the Global Alliance for the Future of Food and all the foundations within it, because their generosity has made it possible to put on this event. It's as simple as that. Without them, we wouldn't have put it on. So thank you very much, Global Alliance, and all your members. Also, I want to thank Bon Appetit Management Company again, because, wow, what a job they did on the food. And Fidel Bauchio, he is an amazing man. And some other foundations that I would like to mention, the 11th Hour Foundation, who are really generous, Marisla, Victoire Owsley, and Christy Brown, various different foundation formats, supported the conference. The JPB and RSF foundations, Pantaray, Nancy Schaub, the California Endowment. Actually, quite a lot of other foundations gave us support, especially for assisted places. And if I don't mention them all, apologies, but honestly, we really value it. The people who did all the staging of this event and made this pavilion look so amazing, DPEM, what a job they did. Seedling projects, particularly Sarah Wiener, who many of you will know from the Food Awards and Sarah Mosbacher, who came over from the East Coast to help in advance put it together, and all the volunteers who were brilliant and made it a more enjoyable experience for all of us. The SFT team, Richard Young, who came, we weren't expecting to come, but he did come, which is lovely, because he was so responsible for convening many of the scientists that have come here. And a lovely man, dear friend of mine. Erica, my PA, who's been with me for, I think, 16 years. And apparently somebody once said to her, when you realize you're working for a madman, come and work with us. But she's still working with me. And that's not because I'm not mad. It's just because she's amazing. Claire Peters and Ellie and Megan and Ian, who are all here and have helped. And Adele, without whom was done as much as anybody really to make this event happen. So the SFT team, thank you. Thank you very much indeed. And finally, you. What an incredible group of people have gathered together here, and so many brilliant people whose knowledge has inspired us all and humbled us all. Thank you very much for giving your time and for being here these last 2 days. I also want to just mention this, that tonight, the Perennial, I don't know if you know where they are, but they're 59th and 9th Street between Mission and Market Street. They're offering some free drinks for anybody who wants to go and decompress. So bless them for doing that. And that's it. Oh, yes, the moderators too. I didn't mention the speakers and the moderators. The speakers and the moderators, you were completely fabulous. Thank you very, very much indeed.